Hi everyone, hello and welcome to our top 3 mistakes medium writers make training and Q&A session. Hi Zulie, thanks for taking time to do this.
Hey, Sinem. Well, thanks for giving me the opportunity. I love to talk about this kind of thing, and it's just so great to get to do it with you.
Well, if you're watching this live, let us know in the chat that you are here. Let us know where you are joining from. And if you have any questions throughout the session, feel free to share them in the comments. We will take a look at the comments throughout the session, but also at the very end when we are at the Q&A. I'll put our slides up here, and I have to say, when we prepared this training for the first time about a year ago, and looking at it now, I was actually surprised to see that those are still like the most important mistakes that I would address, and the most important mistakes that I see are holding writers back. So I'm excited to share them. I hope that you're all excited to learn and to make sure that you don't make those mistakes, or you don't continue to make the mistakes. Let's dive into it. We encourage you to take time for this training. We are going to give you some exercises and some stuff to workshop. You can take some screenshots and you can do the exercises after the session, so you have more time for it. But don't get distracted. Allow yourself to learn something new, and remind yourself that you choose to be here because you do want to make progress and do things differently. In case you're not familiar with our work or who we are, and you're just wondering who are these two ladies talking to me right now, let us give you a very quick intro about who we are. Zulie, do you want to start?
Sure, yeah. So hopefully you know who I am because you're here because you got my email or Sinem's email. My name is Zulie. I write on Medium. I've been writing on Medium for 5 years, nearly, almost 6 years actually, which is unbelievable. And it's thanks to Medium that I've got my whole career as a freelance writer and my job right now, which is really fantastic. And I love writing. I love writing on Medium, and I love teaching other people how to write on Medium.
I always find it funny that we started on Medium around the same time, and it's been almost 6 years for me as well. It was a total coincidence for me to start writing on Medium, and then I think about 2.5 years later or so, Zulie and I connected through another writer actually who introduced us, and
That's
then
right.
I think one of our very early on, actually, you helped me set up my YouTube channel, and then we started to collaborate. We had a paid newsletter together. We did trainings like this one a lot of times, and it's always been a pleasure to work together, and to try and pass on what we have learned on our journeys to newer writers. Also, I think um, what we are both grateful for the opportunities we had on Medium in different ways. For me, it was really, I didn't know I could just write on the internet and share my ideas, knowledge, passion with the world by publishing articles. That was mind blowing to me, but it took me almost 2 years to figure out how to do it correctly, and how to make money through my work, how to connect with an audience, and how to write stories that people would really want to read. And I think it was a bit different for you, Zulie, but also similar in other ways. You started out writing about topics that you partially still write about, but you started for different reasons as well. Do you want to share a bit about what you were excited to write about in the beginning?
My cats, mostly. I started on Medium because I wanted a blog for my cat's Instagram account, and WordPress was too intimidating to me. So I was like, all right, great, I'll go on Medium and figure out how to make that work. And then I was writing about cats, and then I realized I can write about other stuff on Medium too. And that was really fun for me. And I actually went viral my second month, like purely by accident, writing about my cats, of course. That was super, super fun. But then I spent like a year and a half trying to replicate that and trying to figure out how I'd made that happen and how I could make it happen consistently, ideally, and making a lot of mistakes along the way.
And I think that's the beauty of Medium. You can just log in, create your profile, write stories that you care about. For me, it was slightly different because I've been a coach and trainer at the time when I started to write on Medium. So I was hosting a lot of in-person workshops for small groups. And what I did was I summarized my workshops in articles. Those articles were not particularly good, but I had all the content ready because I was hosting those workshops every week anyway. So I was preparing the content for slides and presentations. And I thought, well, let's turn it into an article and share it with more people than the 20 people who have a seat in my workshops. But I think the key message here is we don't think of ourselves as professional writers. We don't have an education or professional background in writing. We just accidentally or curiously started to write. And it sounds like an interesting opportunity. And if you are here and you've already been writing on Medium for a while, I think it's also just encouraging to see that we started just like everyone else. Like, we didn't have an audience on social media. We didn't have an online business, an email list or whatsoever. We started by earning a very tiny amount for our writing, getting very, very little views, and being excited about every single comment, every single opportunity that came our way. And we wrote on Medium for years, which means we've been through Medium's different stages.
The pivots, we can call them pivots.
Yeah. We kept going. We had viral articles. We had months of making really good money on Medium. Having viral articles also means you get to make a lot of money through your work. But that's only one side of the whole experience. I think what's much more important to know is that what we teach you here in other trainings and what we talk about all the time really is that Medium and this training is not a get-rich-quick training. It's not a get-rich-quick strategy that we have. We don't know how you get rich overnight, and that's not what we teach. What we do know and what we can teach you is how you can share your message, your passion, your knowledge, and what you're really curious and excited about with the world by writing on Medium. That's what we have done. That's what we can help you achieve as well. Did you want to add anything?
Yeah, no, just to say, if you come into this thinking, I'm going to learn how to write a listicle that makes me $10,000 in a month, you're in the wrong place. That's not what we're about. That's also not what Medium's about. Medium is a place where you can, yeah, like you said, Sinem, share what you're interested in, find an audience without necessarily having to know anything about SEO or knowing how to market your stories or needing a newsletter with 10,000 readers. Medium's a platform where your writing can really speak for itself more than anywhere else on the internet.
And I think we summarized it pretty well on this slide, actually. If you want to do well, you do need consistent effort. I always love to say there's no finish line to writing. If you want to build an audience and a career through your writing, you are kind of going to write for a very long time, ideally, because you enjoy it and because you always have something new to say. And you can get started on Medium if that's been your biggest struggle so far. Like, you have those ideas, you have a desire to share your message, but you don't really know how to set up your own blog, how to get traffic to your blog and all those things. Well, do it on Medium and you have an audience of millions of people who are looking for your stories, and you will at least be sure that your stories have a nice, clean, clear home. You obviously need to have the desire to learn from your mistakes, but also just to stay up to date and curious, because as I said before, we've been through a lot of pivots. Medium is changing like any other platform and is evolving, is getting better and bigger. So it's really important to not be stubborn and to have an open mind about those things. Set aside your jealousy and have your readers in mind. That's the most important thing, really. You can have your readers' best interest in mind while also enjoying what you write about. I think Medium is a great platform to do that now more than ever, probably. In the past, as said before, viral listicles were the thing to go for. Not so much today.
Thankfully.
Yeah, thankfully, Medium now is a place where you don't have to be a great marketer to do well. You don't have to be a genius when it comes to writing big clickbaity titles. Your story and the message matters a lot more than your ability to market yourself or your story. So you can have both. You can have a great story that is going to be valuable for your reader and that you enjoy writing. All right, let's jump into the 3 mistakes we see. And I would say this is actually the one confusion that we see about Medium
all the time.
And this has been true for ever. Since I've been on Medium, people who join Medium think that they have to write about writing and writing about Medium specifically.
I remember this stands out to me so vividly, having this conversation with a coaching client of mine who was a fantastic writer. Not only that, but she was 60 years old. She'd traveled all over the world. She'd been a CEO at some companies. Like, she had so many interesting stories to share and to talk about. But she had heard from other people on Medium that you need to write about writing, and specifically you need to write about Medium in order to succeed. And that, in fact, the only readers on Medium are writers on Medium, that the circle of readers and writers is just a circle. It's not a Venn diagram. And that was so discouraging for me. And I was really happy to tell her that that's not the case, because she had so many other cool and interesting things to share. And the truth is that Medium's kind of like, we call it Medium meta, articles written on Medium specifically about Medium, or even more broadly about writing. They're a very small portion of what readers on Medium are interested in. Readers on Medium mostly want to hear about your story.
And I think it's weird to hear that from us, because we are obviously talking about our experience writing on Medium, but I think it's always important to, like, when you learn from someone like ourselves, it's important to look into the background. And for me, it was really, I didn't write about writing for a very, very long time. And I just kept writing about the topics that I thought and that I coached, which was personal development, personal growth, activity, habits, and a lot of other topics that I was personally interested in. When my writing did well, I got a lot of questions about writing, and that's how I started to create content around it. But the big point people miss is, if you are a new writer and a new Medium writer and you start to write about writing, you don't really have an edge. There's no reason why people would read your stories, because you don't have any experience, you don't have the results, you don't really know what you're talking about. While there are probably a lot of other topics that you care about a lot more and that you have firsthand experience in, and that readers would be interested to read about. We talk about this with so many different people, but I've also hosted an interview with the Medium CEO just a few days ago, and it was the core topic that we talked about again. And he mentioned, write about the topics you're passionate about, not the topics you think are popular because you think that you will go viral. You can write about a random topic and go viral on Medium. It could happen once. You go viral, you have thousands of views, there are dozens of comments on your article. Well, what's next? You're stuck with that one viral article that you didn't really care about. Are you going to do it over and over again? Are you going to write about topics you don't really care about? It's not really a sustainable approach, and it's not a fun approach, to be honest. I can't imagine writing about topics that I don't care about. I mean, Zulie, we've both done freelance writing, and we've both written a couple articles that we didn't really care about a lot. I would say the beauty of writing on Medium and writing for yourself is that you get to choose what you write about, and that you have fun writing, that you really explore your own creativity and your own perspective on a topic you think is genuinely interesting. Let's talk about why we think Medium writers keep making this mistake. Zulie, you have a wonderful way of explaining this, actually, that I still love. So I'd love to pass this on to you.
I mean, I want to disclose here, I have not seen the code, right? I don't know how Medium's algorithm works, but just from personal experience, from my own account, from talking to other people who have joined Medium and started writing, the problem is that Medium's recommendation algorithm is sticky. So what that means is, when you join Medium and you click on a topic, Medium's like, oh, she really clearly cares about cats. That's something I would click on. Let's show her tons of articles about cats. Great. So now I start thinking, okay, well, this is what Medium is full of. And you can see really easily how this could happen to a new writer on Medium. Medium happens to show you an article about writing, maybe even an article specifically about Medium. And then Medium's like, oh, okay, so you want to know all about writing on Medium. That's the topic that you're super interested in. So your feed just fills up with all of these specific articles about writing on Medium. And that's all you see succeeding. I saw a comment earlier from, I think, someone called Joy saying, it seems like Medium stories are what get the eyeballs. And the fact that we'll show a screenshot later of some like behind the scenes stats illustrating this point, but these articles don't get nearly the same amount of views or let alone money that articles that are about other topics like cats, for example, but also about, I don't know, marketing, personal development, Taylor Swift. But because you're only seeing these same articles over and over again in your feed, you just get this mistaken impression that that's all Medium is. And it can be so limiting, and it's discouraging because so many great writers get trapped in this thinking that they have to write about Medium if they want to write on Medium. And it limits them from sharing actually really cool, interesting stories from their own personal experience that aren't just writing about Medium.
Yeah, we had this behind the scenes slide. Actually, I think we missed the first part of it, actually. These are two articles that have a very similar amount of claps. I'm just trying to look at it. So both of these articles have about 5,000 claps. We missed the one slide, but if you go to my profile and if you really want to, like, if you don't believe me, you can actually find those articles.
No, it's in there. If you like go back on it's just, I think you sped through the animations.
Oh, I downloaded this as a
I see.
PDF. I think that's the worry. Anyway, both of these articles have 5,000 claps, and this article has 68 comments. This one has 31 comments. As you can see, the one about Medium has way more comments, but it has made far less in terms of earnings. So if you're really like, if you want to look at the money behind the scenes, this is what happens. An article about Medium might get a lot of traction on the outside, like you see a lot of claps, you see a lot of comments. An article that is about a different topic has a different engagement, but is more successful because if you look at it, Medium's audience of writers, they are more engaged because they know what it's like to be a writer. And also, I think what most people misunderstand is if you are a writer on Medium, you know that you can clap up to 50 times. If you don't care about writing on Medium, you might not even know that you can give 50 claps on an article. You might think that it's just like a like button and you click on it once. That's why stories about writing on Medium tend to have higher engagement, and it looks like they are more successful, which is not really the truth. It's a different perception you have because you're only seeing claps and comments. You're not seeing the stats behind the scenes. And as you can see, this got 3,500 views, while the other one got over 40,000 views. So there is a substantial difference there. And it's the same for you. Like, you have the opportunity to write about a topic that you think is popular or that you think is going to do well versus a topic that you're really interested in and maybe a problem that you faced yourself and you have a solution to it. And most of the cases, the second option is going to do better because you have something more interesting to say. And this is even more true if you don't really have experience in writing. This article about growing my followers by 50,000, this is still unique. You know, not everyone can write this article because not everyone has grown by 50,000 followers. If you're writing about your experience of writing a Medium for your first month, that's not very interesting, and it's definitely not going to get 3,000 views either.
It's just not valuable because there's so many people in your position who can offer that exact perspective that what you offer is not going to be super interesting or like unique or relevant to the people that you're trying to reach.
Exactly. And we love to highlight that Medium is a platform for readers. There are so many readers on Medium who don't care about writing. They just use Medium to discover interesting stories to read. And even like we mentioned here, claps don't matter. I think it's even more interesting now with boosting because you don't really, there's no way to fake your success on Medium or to kind of do better by engaging with other writers, etc. If your content doesn't resonate with your readers or the readers you reach, it's not going to reach more readers. It's not going to reach a lot of readers in the first place. And the only thing that really matters is that the people who see your story choose to read it and choose to spend time on your story. So if you get someone to click on your piece, but they leave the piece after 10 seconds because your introduction sucks, because you don't seem to know what you're talking about, you are not going to get very far.
I think the key thing to remember is people on Medium, if you want to skip to the next slide, the vast majority of readers on Medium are not there to read about Medium or writing. They're there to read about any of these topics. And you can go for yourself, go to medium.com/topics, and you'll see the rich variety of things that you can write about that you probably have a ton of interesting things to say in these topics, whether it's coding, writing, spirituality, love, cats. I know I keep mentioning cats, but that's, where I've got my personal experience. But there are readers for almost every topic, and you don't need to limit yourself if you want to be successful. On Medium, the best success strategy is to follow, like, I don't want to sound too cheesy and corny, but follow your passion, write about things that you care about.
Exactly. You already mentioned write about what you care about, and really think about what do you think you will not get bored of? What is the thing you like to talk about? And it could be different things. I think that's part of what makes Mediums interesting too. You don't have to be super strict about your niche or about one specific topic right away. It can help to be specific if you want to build a loyal audience down the line, but you can explore different topics. You can write about 5 different topics and see what you enjoy most, see what resonates with your audience most. And if you want to be specific, we recommend you do this kind of statement exercise where you try to clarify who you are writing for and who your writing is supposed to help. If you are writing for, let's say you help a woman to lose weight, whatever it is that you help people to do. You have a very clear statement. You know who your content is for. You can make sure your content is useful for this particular group of readers, and you can target it. You can speak their language. You can also try to come up with a statement like in the third example, you say, I'm telling stories to help you go from X to Y, from A to B. If you've been part of my training last week, we talked about building a bridge for your readers. That's what this is about. You want to help your reader really enjoy your story, but whether you are educating them or telling a personal story, your goal is to make sure that they're getting value, and value can be education, value can be entertainment, value can be emotional, whatever it is for you specifically.
I've got a little Venn diagram here that I like to use to find that overlapping area where your articles can do well and things that you're interested in and things that you have something to say about. So the example I always give is like, I know crypto is valuable. Do I want to write about crypto? No. Do I know anything about crypto? No. Therefore, it's not a great topic for me to write about, no matter how popular it might be. Same with like how to get a Massachusetts driving license. I know a lot about that. I'm not interested in writing about that. And that's not a topic that's valuable to my audience. Things like traveling, freelancing, data science, cats, and marketing now, things that I know a lot about, that I love thinking and writing about, and that I know I can write about in a way that's valuable for my audience. Those are the topics that you want to target to succeed on Medium in the long term, like not just get off one viral hit and never again, but build a sustainable long-term career with your writing.
Yeah, exactly. Let's move on to mistake number 2, which despite the changes on Medium still matters a lot, which is your title matters a lot. Even though boosting now helps writers to to find their audience, even if they are not great marketers, your title matters. Zulie, you had this belief, which I think a lot of us writers have in common when we started.
And if this is you, don't feel bad. I overcame it, and you can too. But I was super snobby when I started writing. I looked down on things like listicles or like how-to articles, because I was thinking, oh, they're so gimmicky. My writing's good enough. I don't need to think about my titles. I can just, write whatever title I want, and my writing is so amazing. My readers will magically find it. And I kind of forgot that you need to give your readers a reason to click. Listicles are a great way to do that because they communicate value super, super well, but it's not the only way. And for people who don't want to write listicles, there are other ways to do this, but it is something that you want to put a little bit of thought into. Don't be like me thinking that your writing will magically attract audiences without any kind of thought as to why they should click on your article. And I think it's worth thinking about why new writers make this mistake too, just so you can kind of get into the mindset of like, all right, well, how do I avoid this? And I think the reason is you kind of get caught up in your own writing. You get caught up in your story, your voice, your experiences, and you forget that on the other side of that screen, somebody's reading that article. Someone deserves the chance to click on that article and learn something from what you've been through, learn something from your experiences, your writing, your guide, your listicle even. But you can't do that if you don't give people a reason to click on your article. I have seen this so many times. People hide really fantastic writing behind these mediocre titles that don't incentivize anybody to click. So here's an example. I love Stefan, so I use this example all the time because I think he's got a great knack for creating titles about things that you think are really tired and overdone, but he still manages to kind of give a fresh spin. So it's a great article, I can tell you that. I can also tell you that if it were titled something really generic and vague, like Why Journaling Matters, or I'm journaling about this, ... I wouldn't have clicked on it. But Effortless Journaling, the small habit that can improve your entire life, that's a great title. I understand what value I'm going to get out of it. I understand who he's writing it for. It doesn't overpromise and underdeliver. I know exactly what I'm going to get and why I should click on it. So that's just one way that I love to think about titles, is how can I communicate to the ideal reader that this is a story they should click on?
Yeah. And I think that's the whole point. Readers have a lot of choices. They don't have a lot of time, and it's your job to show them the value of your article as quickly as possible. You have to think about every single person clicking on your story in terms of, this is a person who opens the Medium website. They have a lot of different pieces to choose from, and they pick yours. You have to give them a strong enough reason to click, because they could be reading 1,000 other stories that have been published by great writers in great publications around the same time. How can you avoid this mistake? I love what you've put in here. Really, don't take your readers for granted. I think that's a mindset shift too. Also, what you said before, Zulie, I think part of why we make this mistake in the beginning is because we think we are so special. And even though everyone's story and perspective is special, you're still responsible for making your story stand out and sound unique and sound click-worthy. Don't assume your reader knows you and thinks that you are a fantastic writer, because they might not. The beauty of writing on the internet is that you have access to a huge audience of readers who don't know you yet, and it's your job to introduce yourself by writing content that they first want to click on and then enjoy reading. And of course, you have to spend some time and effort gaining people's trust by delivering value, but also by making sure your content sounds interesting in the first place. We have two great strategies to improve your titles. And I know you do both of those really well, Zulie. So do you want to give a quick overview?
Yeah, sure. We'll go through this one quickly because I've got like a workshop option for both of these two that we'll go through. But option one is to do research. Basically, figure out why do you click on articles when you or emails or headlines or literally anything. What elements of a title make you click? The second one is just to go through iterations. This is often how I come up with my best titles is, I give something a title, an article, a title at the beginning of the process. And then after I finished writing the article, I go back and I try to come up with 5 variations that are a little different. One in the style of a listicle, maybe one in the style of like a more ranty, angry piece, just different styles until I find something that feels right. And just doing the reps can really help here. But I think it'll be more helpful if we go through the actual workshop bit. So here's an example. I was looking on Medium the other day and I picked 3 articles that I clicked on and I tried to analyze why did I click on these? So for example, this one from Alana Rister, she's a fantastic writer. How to get and use testimonials for your products. Such a straightforward title. Even if I didn't know Alana, this would be a really simple one for me to want to click on because I know exactly what I'm going to get. I know exactly what use I'm going to get. It's a how-to, and I want testimonials for my products. Done. That's such a simple sell for me. I'm like, okay, obviously that's going to be a great article for me to learn for my personal business. The next one was more, I was trying to put my finger on why I clicked on it, and it was almost like a little bit of schadenfreude, almost a little bit of rubbernecking, how I and most of the medical establishment got fooled and scammed by the diet theory of cholesterol. I think it's really human to want to watch like people who are really high up make mistakes and fall, especially when they're telling like sharing a tell-all kind of behind the scenes of what happened. Um, and I just thought that was so cool and really interesting. And I clicked on that because I was like, well, how did this really expert guy get fooled? Like, what happened there? What's the story? And then the third one, are we heading into an AI washing epidemic? This one wasn't super clear to me what it was about, but that was okay because it introduced this kind of tasteful curiosity gap. I do think that we've got too much AI running around. I do think the marketing of the AI is overblown. Maybe that's what it's about. And AI is something that's really topical and really trending in my industry. I want to be up to date on it and I want to know terminology like this. So another easy click for me.
Yeah, let's move to the second strategy, which I think is equally powerful and sometimes annoying, but very, very effective, to be honest.
Yeah, it's one of those where hard work pays off. It's annoying. You want to find an easy shortcut, but in fact, just spending time and working hard will get you good results. Yeah, so this was an older article of mine, but I wanted to choose it because I chose different styles of titles before I landed on one that I think worked really well for this one, which was in fact a listicle, 5 writing platforms that pay beginners to write. So I tried out like a more case study. I tried this is what happened. I tried a ranty style, like why is it so radical that writers deserve to be paid? A controversial, like the beginner writers don't get paid myth is super wrong. Stuff like that. And then I landed on actually a really simple listicle because I wanted to quickly and simply communicate the value of my article. If you're a beginner writer and you want to get paid to write, these are the 5 writing platforms that you can go for. Done. That reached my target audience really well. But I did not come up with this title first. That was like the 6th or 7th on my list, I think, before I finally landed on it.
Yeah, it's very rare for me to find or to pick the first title option that I come up with, actually. Usually there's a lot of back and forth. Every once in a while, there is a title that I come up with that I think is really cool, and I write the article because I have this really cool title idea, but it's very rare. Most of the time it's having the idea, knowing what I want to say, and then spending a lot of time packaging and coming up with a title that actually does the article justice and communicates the message in a clear, effective way. The third mistake writers make, and I loved to talk to Tony the other day because I I just got a confirmation that this is still very valid and important. There's been the Medium pub crawl just recently, which has basically proven that publications matter. And as a new writer, you might not be familiar with publications yet. You might think that your writing is not good enough to publish with publications yet, or you might be intimidated because you tried it a couple of times and you got rejected. We are both big publication fans, so we are going to give you the kick in the butt to trust yourself and to write for publications as quickly as possible.
Yeah, it's so easy to think, I'll just wait until later. I'll wait until I'm more established. I'll wait until I have more followers. But you are really tripping yourself up if you don't go with publications from the start. And I've got a neat little example that I wanted to share with you, because people often say to me, oh, you publish without publications and you still get, zillions of views. I have, I don't know, like over 100,000 followers on Medium. I'm an exception. I wanted to know what it was like to start writing on Medium from the beginning. So a couple years ago, I started a brand new profile. I didn't tell anybody. I wrote about stuff I never write about normally, like completely different topics. And here's just the difference in views. Now, these are like the top and bottom examples. So the very most views and the very fewest views. Not all the stories I published in publications got this kind of traction, but it was so clear to see that, especially as a beginner, when I had a small audience, the best way to get stories that did well was to leverage the audience that publications already had. I had like 4 followers when I published some of these stories, but publications that I was publishing with had thousands of followers, and I was able to use that as a kind of little booster seat, a little leg up to start getting views on my articles a little earlier on.
Well, why do we think Medium writers make this mistake? I think it's really what I said before. You might not be confident yet. Maybe you got a rejection or two and it just felt really bad. Or you also don't necessarily understand what publications are and how you can use them and if they even make sense. Well, now at least you know that they make a lot of sense and that you should prioritize them and try to work with them as quickly as possible.
For sure. Yeah. I think publications are kind of a weird concept outside of Medium. There's no real analogy for them anywhere else on the internet. Like YouTube channels or Netflix shows, it's not the same thing at all. But they are super powerful because they act as a signal to Medium when you publish with a publication that people who are interested in the topics that publication writes about might be interested in your story too. And remember, at the end of the day, Medium isn't trying to make anybody money other than Medium. They want to show good articles to interested readers who pay for a Medium membership, right? That's what they're trying to do at the end of the day. And if you want to succeed on Medium, you want to write articles that help them do that. So you're thinking, okay, well, how does Medium show these articles to readers who are interested in them? Again, I want to clarify, I have not seen the Medium algorithm. I don't know this for sure, but based on my experience with writing on Medium and talking to other people on Medium, this is how the algorithm works a little bit. When you publish a story on Medium, there are 3 sort of sources of views that Medium will show that article to. There's people who follow you. Now, my 100,000 odd followers, Medium will show my story to some of them and see like, oh, okay, is this interesting to you? Do you want to see what Zulie's written about? Great for me, less great for the person who's just joined Medium and has like 3 followers, and one of them is your mom who never logs on, right? The second one is curation, distribution, boosting. Medium has partially human, partially algorithmic ways to look at a story and say, okay, well, this story is clearly about cats. Let's show it to people who have clicked on articles about cats in the past. The third is publications. The first one, you don't have that much control over, right? You will get followers as you write on Medium. Nobody starts with 1,000 followers, unfortunately. The second, you have some, but not very much control over. The best you can do is write as well as you can and hope. But it's a black box for some people. You don't really understand the processes by which Medium chooses to show your article to people who don't follow you. Publications are the avenue you can control. I can go on Medium, look up topics like cats and say, okay, Katniss is writing about cats. So I know people who follow the Katniss publication are interested in cat articles. Now, when I publish an article about cats, I want to target that audience, that avenue of potential readers. Because this is the second step, once Medium shows your article to that group of people, if 100% of them click on it, if 100% read, comment, clap, highlight, Medium's like, oh my gosh, we've got a winner on our hands. This is an amazing story. We're getting all these great signals from readers that this is quality writing. Let's show it to more people. And then let's show it to more people again as they keep reacting well. And that's how you get stories that really, really reach your intended target audience. Again, you can't really control step 1 and 2, but if you can use step 3, publications, to make sure that that initial pool of readers is going to be interested in your article, that's the best way to have control over getting a bigger hit. That was a long explanation, and hopefully that made sense.
I think it makes a lot of sense. And moving to the next one, as a beginner, as Zulie said, you don't have a lot of followers. You don't really have control over what gets distributed, but you can control which publications you choose to work with. You can pick the topics. You can look into the publication and see if it seems to be a fit for you personally. And how you avoid this mistake really is follow the 2 rules we have here to find good publications. I love to mention that there is rarely ever a perfect publication for any story. But what you can do is look for publications that are open for submissions and open for beginner writers as well. There are publications on Medium specifically for new writers nowadays. That's one way to go about it. But there are also very topic-specific publications that you can target, and you'll just find them by browsing through topic pages. There are also lists on Medium where you get an overview of all the different publications that exist, or most of them at least. And the second thing that matters a lot more than a follower count, what you might think, is the readership of the publication engaged? You can look at the last pieces that have been published in the publication that you're targeting. Look at the claps, look at the comments. If you want to take the extra mile, look into the responses, into the comment sections. What are the readers saying? Are they interested in the topic? Is it an engaged audience? That matters a lot more than looking at the follower number, or just the follower number, because some publications on Medium have been there for years, and they have built their following over lots and lots of years. So follower count alone doesn't necessarily tell you a lot. And there might be a new publication with not so many followers, but they might be very specific. The editor might be very engaged. They might be able to give you feedback, and they might have a very engaged audience of readers who really care about the topic you write.
We've got a little workshop that you can try right now, or take a screenshot and do this later. But this is what I do when I'm writing in a new topic that I might not be familiar with the best publications. I go to the Medium homepage for that topic, so medium.com/tag/ I don't know, pets or whatever you want to do. And I look at that page to see what publications are showing up frequently. After that, I do the same research. I make sure, is it open to submissions? Is the readership active and engaged? Is it going to be a good home for my story? And then here's what you can do right now. You can say this to yourself. Nobody's going to judge you for talking to yourself. Say, I will submit my draft about the topic that you're writing about to the publication that you're targeting after you're doing your research by, and give yourself a deadline. Today is Medium Finish Your Draft Day. So if you got one in the works, that would be a great contender for this. Polish it off and send it to that publication that you've been thinking of, or that you've just found through this research, but commit to doing it by a specific day. Don't put it off. Don't be intimidated. Don't be scared. Pick a publication that's a good fit and really go for it, because it's going to be one of the best ways to start getting traction and start reaching your ideal readers.
And we'd love to encourage you to take a moment to reflect, really. And again, you can take a screenshot, write down a little note so you remind yourself to do this little exercise later on. Think about what aha moments you had during the last 40 minutes that we had together. What are some new things that you haven't been doing so far that you want to be doing now? Have you been writing for publications yet? Have you been putting enough thought into your titles? What is it that you want to do differently after leaving this session, and hopefully, getting rid of the struggles you've had so far. We had a couple really short questions that I want to address real quickly. We have one from Lauren here saying, can you submit the same article draft to multiple publications? You submit a draft to one publication only and wait for the response. If the publication rejects your piece, you can move on to the next publication. Normally, there is not just one perfect pub that you want to write for, but you have different options. So if you get rejected, you might want to figure out what the reason was, but you can then move on to the next publication. Rose said, when do you stop being a new writer?
That's a good question. Sometimes I still feel like a new writer. I hope that isn't too discouraging. No, I think in terms of like easy metrics, like you can say, oh, I've got 100 followers. I'm no longer a new writer on Medium anyway. That's one way to do it. Or you can say, I've published, 20 articles. I'm no longer a new writer. But I think the main thing to take away from here is when we say new writer on Medium, in this particular context, if what we've been sharing is interesting, or if it's news to you, or if it's going to change the way that you work on Medium, then that's probably a sign that you might be a new writer on Medium. You don't really fully know how to leverage publications to their fullest capacity. You haven't spent that much time workshopping titles. Maybe you've written the odd Medium article or two. That's kind of my benchmark, is when do you feel confident knowing the mechanisms behind how Medium works? And that's why sometimes I still feel like a new writer, because sometimes Medium will change or something surprising will happen. And I'll be like, okay, there's something here still to learn.
Yeah. I saw one question before, which is our mistake, actually. We missed to remove the 100 follower mark. So sorry about that confusion. You don't need 100 followers for monetization the way it was before. It's not a magic number. That's actually really important for me to point out, because we have this conversation over and over again. If you submit your piece to a publication, most publications, they will only judge that draft, not your profile. They won't take a look at how many followers you have. I dare to say never. You'll never get rejected because you don't have enough followers. What matters is that the piece is a fit for the publication. And the same is true for boosting. So if you're already a bit familiar with Medium, boosting is how your stories can be shared with more readers, which is their most powerful distribution method right now, really, for writers. And also for boosting, it doesn't matter if you have 100 or 1,000 followers. What matters is that the story is boost worthy. That's really important to point out, because I think it's really encouraging, because you don't have to be on the platform for months or years to get distributed and to reach a significant audience. You need to write a great story. I
saw too about the same thing from Daryl and Jose Luis, asking how long publications take to accept or reject, or how long to wait for publication response. Go to the submission guidelines. The good publications will tell you how long you can wait. Like Better Marketing, we've got a relatively long window because all three of us are busy with day jobs. If it's been 5 days and you haven't heard back, it's probably a pass. I would say that's, if you want to be generous, give the publication a full week to get back to you. But realistically, if it's been a week or even 5 days, at that point, you can safely assume the publication is passed, and you are free to take that article out and submit it to a different publication.
Yeah. I would say one last question, which might be interesting to more people, from Katrin. Should the first article be posted on your personal profile, or is it better to try submitting to a publication? What's your take, Zulie?
It's an interesting question. It's a good one, because I don't think it matters. If you want to optimize your chances for getting a lot of views early on, then it's better to try submitting to a publication. If you just want to get something out the door and have something on your profile, then you should post it to your profile without going through the whole rigmarole of submitting to a publication, which can take a while. So it depends. If your obstacle is like just hitting that publish button, then don't put more obstacles in your way. Just get something out on your profile so you can feel good about having that live and published on your article, on your profile. If you're being really strategic and you're not worried about hitting publish, you know you're going to do it, you just want to give your article the very best chance, then go through a publication. But I would say that's true of the first 100th and 1,000th article you write.
Yeah.
And all the ones in between, obviously.
I know I said last question, but I think this one is really important to highlight. So Kent asked, if a publication publishes your article, you still own the content, right? Yes, I think that's really important. You own the rights to your content. You can post the same thing on your blog if you want to. You can post it on different platforms if that's what you want to do. This is really important. You own the rights to your content. It's all yours.
100%. Yeah.
All right, let's try to wrap up because we're running out of time. Medium can be confusing, I think, just like any other platform, any writing platform, any social media platform. But you can do it. You can reach a relevant audience, get views on your articles, and be successful. Whatever successful means to you, this is important to highlight. Some people are aiming to build a writing business. Some people just want to share their life stories. Some people want to use Medium to get a book deal eventually, to build their email list, to gain clients. Whatever it is that you aim to do, it is possible for you, and we hope that this training has been a real encouragement, especially if you've been thinking, I'm not a real writer, I cannot do this. You are here with a group of more than 60 people now watching this live who probably think the same thing. You don't have to think of yourself as a writer right now. You have to be passionate and excited about the opportunity to put your thoughts out there. And we hope that you got the first couple of steps with us today. We both started with no experience. I'm not a native English speaker. We didn't have any idea about how to write on the internet. I still have no idea about SEO or building my own blog. Those are things that you have at least figured out, Zulie. As I said, we had no audience, we had no previous experience on other platforms. You learn those things step by step, and don't overwhelm yourself. There is a lot to learn. Take it one step at a time. You don't have to have everything figured out right away. We see so many writers being stuck because they kind of limit themselves. They think Medium has changed. I cannot do well on Medium anymore because everyone that has an audience has built it over the last couple of years. Or you might have published a lot of articles already and think that Medium is unfair. You deserve to get more views. You deserve to get boosted, but you're not. Or you might think that you are just too light to do really well. And we want to be honest with you. We think those are excuses because we see writers doing well, even though they have just started. And the best way for us to see that is with our own clients or students, but also as editors of a publication, you get to see new writers all the time who are brand new to the platform and who happen to write a really great article, and it does well, it gets boosted, it reaches a relevant audience. Medium is a place where you can reach your target audience, where you can share your message, even if you're starting today, this week, this month. And it is an opportunity for you to share the things that you care about with an audience that will hopefully care about it as well. If you are excited to take things to the next level, I would love to invite you to join me, to work with me and join us inside the Medium Writing Academy. I've been sending a lot of emails to many of you over the last couple of days, and I would love to remind you that today is our last day to join, and I would love to give you a quick recap. The Medium Writing Academy is for you if you are a brand new writer and you want to take it step by step. You want to learn how to set up your profile, how to publish your first story, how to get into publications, how to get boosted and grow your audience. But it's also for you if you've been struggling for a while, because we have really in-depth sessions and lessons about how to write content that people will want to read. So if you've been struggling on Medium for a while, it's probably because you've been creating a lot of content that is not getting the traction you want yet. And that's when Medium Writing Academy can help you as well. The main idea of the course is to help you share your message with the world, grow your audience, grow your income, turn your passion into a career if that's what you want to do, and avoid wasting your time writing pieces that nobody will ever read. Because the most frustrating thing as a writer really is to put your heart and soul into a lot of pieces that you write and they're not getting seen. It's not that people are hating your pieces, it's just that nobody sees them in the first place. When you join me inside the Medium Writing Academy, you will get access to our 4-step framework. So you don't have to guess what's going to work or guess what to do next, but you are going to have a step-by-step instruction on how to do things. You are going to get bite-sized training videos fully up to date for 2024, so you really know how to use Medium right now. And you get access to a private student community so you can connect with like-minded writers. You're invited to live group coaching sessions where you get feedback on your questions, the exercises you complete, and on your drafts. We also do live writing sprints. We've done some of those together with Zulie last year, actually, where think of it as a silent co-working session where we meet and write together. We have prepared really exciting live expert workshops for this cohort. I will be joined by Justin Cox from the Writing Cooperative. I will have Jake Roper actually on a session next week. Jake has written for the Better Marketing publication a couple of times, and he has gained a lot of high-paying clients through his writing over the last couple of months, and he will share with us how he does that. And more. We have prepared a boost vault, so you get access to lots and lots of boosted stories and have the tags, the publications, and why the story got boosted. So you have a big catalog of stories that you can learn from. We have lots of workshops in our workshop bundle, also great workshops from Zulie that we have created last year on how to outline your pieces, how to come up with great story ideas, and much, much more. As I said, this is for you if you just discovered Medium and are excited to dive in, if you've already published dozens of articles, mostly if you publish nonfiction stories, that's what we focus on in our sessions. So if you're writing educational pieces, if you're writing stories based on your personal experiences, stuff that you've experienced, stuff that you want to pass on, that's a perfect fit for the Medium Writing Academy. And it's also important to mention that this is for you if you don't want to write and publish every single day. Most of our students are busy, they have jobs, they have kids, they have other stuff going on. And what we teach is not to write and publish as much as you can, but how to be a little more strategic and thoughtful about the content you produce. If you are ready to grow your audience and online income, I would love to invite you to join us, join a community of like-minded writers who want to see you win. You can still sign up for Medium Writing Academy today. This is the link where you can find all the details and the information if you want to dive deeper into it. I'm also going to share the link in the chat. Let me just quickly check the chat. Is there anything that you want to mention, Zulie? Did you see any comments that you want to address before we say goodbye?
I think we got most of them as we read through them. I think the last thing I want to say is it has, in my genuine and honest opinion, it's never been a better time to write on Medium. And I say this every year because every year I'm like, they've made it better again, but they genuinely have through programs like the Boost platform or the Boost functionality, where it doesn't matter how many followers you have, you can still have a story, start reaching viewers really early on. All you need is a quality writing. And now that Medium is starting to put a lot of weight and resources behind helping to support publications, the factors that make it easier to succeed on Medium have become more about having an interesting story to tell, having a good way of telling it, and less about finding the exact right title formula or picking the exact right structure. It's more and more just a place where the better you write and the more interesting a story you have, the more likely you are to succeed and to find your audience and to reach the people that you want to be reaching with your writing. I love Medium so much, and it's so cool to get to talk about it with you all. And I've really appreciated spending time here answering your questions, showing you the mistakes that I have made and learned from, and hopefully they've helped you as well.
Yeah, thank you so much for your time. Thank you all for joining, for staying with us through the entire session. If you have any other questions, drop them in the chat. I'll check the comments later on. If you're catching the replay, let us know if there's anything that you want to know, if there's been anything that you think wasn't addressed, and I'll get back to you in the comments as well. Thank you, everyone, and have a lovely rest of the day. Take care.
Bye, everybody.